frankly somewhat surprised by the groundswell of agreement that was afforded my 27th entry in the Rageaholic vlog series, the one entitled "The Video Game Crash Has Arrived." Several people took umbrage with the somewhat bleak portrait, albeit, unintentionally bleak, that I painted of the future of the video game industry, and to be fair, I think my case would have benefited from an addendum, to wit, the video you are watching right now. While those echoing my sentiments often vary wildly in their gestures of support and rhetoric, those who oppose the message seem to be of one mind, and I believe I can articulate their position in a single sentence. What about indie games and digital distribution? To which I simply respond, what about indies and digital distribution? Look, while I find it immensely encouraging to see the recent glut of indie titles, particularly those that are on offer on Steam, Xbox Live, and of course the PSN, let's brandish the electron microscope and come to grips with the mortifying reality, shall we? In 2012, the American video game industry raked in roughly $15 billion in overall video game sales. I believe $8 billion of which was sold in actual brick-and-mortar retail locations, which for perspective is a drop of over 20% since 2011, 22% to be precise, which echoes the 17% drop in yearly sales mirrored in the UK, by the way. How many of those $15 billion in sales can be attributed to digital distribution? Less than $5 billion. A respectable, but ultimately meager, year-over-year increase of less than 8%. Digital distribution and the indies will not save us, Rageaholics. Look, even a fleeting encounter with a graphing calculator is all you need to confirm that this industry is losing money at a rate of more than twice what the digital platforms are raking the fuck in. Not even by the most far-flung Al Gore's inconvenient truth, part cheeks, insert cranium arithmetic, is the industry's profit model even marginally sustainable currently. This also doesn't factor in what is estimated to be a 10 to 15% increase in developmental costs for next-gen video game consoles. And if you'll allow me to erect a straw man for a moment, this brings me to the other argument the defenders of the flagging industry are so swift to offer in rejoinder. If the retail market goes away, then everyone will just start buying their shit digitally. They'll have no other choice after all. Bullshit, they won't. With the specialty comic book retail market engulfed in fiscal flame right now, is the comic buying audience in any particular hurry to sign up for Marvel Direct and other digital distribution services? Take it from someone who actually worked in a comic retail shop during the crash of 2007. The answer is fuck and no. Comics, like video games, are an entertainment. While highly enjoyable in the eyes of the mass market, they are neither necessary, nor with the impending collapse of retail giants like GameStop, are they likely to be particularly convenient to obtain in the future. In an economy experiencing a somewhat deceptive recovery, with unemployment figures that are decreasing largely as a result of millions of Americans leaving the workforce entirely, a retail giant like EB Games going up like Michael Jackson's Jerry Curl is just the excuse those people need to write off yet another unnecessary annual expenditure. Or they'll simply get their gaming fix by slamming 3 cc's of internet piracy into their dope fiend veins. Look, when World Championship Wrestling was purchased by the World Wrestling Federation in 2001, I remember this very vividly. Vince McMahon was quoted as making quite possibly the single most ill-informed, insufferably pompous, and balls-out fucking incorrect statement he has ever made in his life. Now that WCW is gone, their fans will have no choice but to watch our product. Or I'm sorry, our product. But even a casual glance at the company's plummeting television ratings and buy rates in the early 2000s confirms that this pie-in-the-sky, Candyland orgy of a scenario is yet to take fucking place, even today. The WCW fans went away, and they stayed the fuck gone, because this isn't a grocery store or a car mechanic. It's entertainment. When household budgets get tight next to a subscription to Game Informer, it's the single easiest thing to strike from the shopping list. Digital distribution has been readily available and refreshingly inexpensive for the better part of the last decade. Might I humbly suggest that if it was going to rule the world, it would have done so by now? $5 billion in the entirety of 2012, while certainly nothing to break wind at, is in no way ruling the fucking world. Dr. Evil would ask for twice that amount while holding the world ransom with a motherfucking moon laser, okay? And the presence of a viable indie market in no way dispenses with the fact that a crash has occurred either. The crash of '83 had no shortage of titles, both for platforms like Commodore 64 and even for the Atari. I mean, if you're expecting roving gangs of Mad Max extras gang fucking in the streets between Thunderdome bouts, your standard disqualifies itself from consideration. I mean, if large video game publishers like THQ slamming into the proverbial iceberg at full fucking steam while CEOs across the globe from EA to Square Enix resign from their posts, if tens of thousands of unemployed programmers and designers, a succession of disappointing game launches, and titans of gaming being delisted from the stock exchange does not indicate a video game crash to you, then by your self-defeating standard, neither did the crash of '83. Wake up and smell the guano. It's here. I'm RazörFist. God fucking speed.